Hello there, my name is Gavin Walsh and today is Wednesday the 22nd of October 2025. I'd like to talk to you about a project I've been working on I'm in my 15th year in it, so well over 14 years. The St. Kevin project, and it's a tragic story of Ireland and Aer Lingus and the Irish nation's first ever fatal air crash, which happened on Thursday the 10th of January 1952, so almost 74 years ago. Everybody on board was killed, and which was 20 people and 3 flight crew. But back then, a 24 or 28 was the standard aircraft. It was a bit like what a 737 or an A320 is today. It was a DC-3, an ex-military plane. And indeed, 90% of all the world's passengers who flew back after the war flew in these planes. And in America, that figure was about 95%. So it was ubiquitous airline. It was a ubiquitous airliner, to say the least, and the most common form of air transport in the 1940s and right up into actually Aer Lingus had them right up to the late 1960s. The aircraft that crashed was given a saintly name, the St. Kevin, named after St. Kevin of Glendalough, who was the patron saint of the Blackbird. But it's the Irish registration of it was EIAFL. That's AFL. The weather that night was atrocious over the Snowdonia Mountains. It was a London to Dublin flight on the return from Dublin to London, and that at the time was the airline's busiest route. In fact, not only was it Aer Lingus's busiest route, it was the second busiest route in all of Europe, obviously because the two nations' capitals were separated by sea, and both large cities, Dublin and London, respectively. I'm going to guess that the busiest route was probably Paris and London, but that's just a guess. It doesn't concern us. What concerns us is that the second busiest air route in all of Europe was the Dublin-London to London route to Dublin route, and the busiest airport in all of Europe was the London airport, which ironically was not even an airport. Heathrow was not even a civilian airport. Heathrow was been built, and it was Northolt military airbase. So while Heathrow was being built, and other airports like Croydon and them were bursting at the seams and just couldn't cope, the British government mandated the RAF to allow Northolt to become a civilian airport, whilst it still maintained its role as a military airfield. And by 1952, Northolt was bursting at the seams, and it was the busiest civilian airport in all of Europe, in addition to handling the its normal military role. And it was an airport out in West London. And by 1954, it still exists, but by 1954, the civilian traffic had completely merged into Heathrow Airport, what is today, of course, the super busy Heathrow Airport. In any event, there were 3 Aer Lingus flight crew members on board: Captain James Richard Keohane, known as Jimmy; First Officer Alexander Newman, known as Alex; and Flight Stewardess Marie Deirdre Sutton, known as Deirdre. Now, additionally, there was another Aer Lingus senior captain on board who was travelling with his wife and daughter, and his name was Richard Nicky Laker, and his wife's name was Dorothy, and his daughter was Melody, since I'm naming them all. Anyway, everybody perished that night. And one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest ever intergovernmental cover-ups was quickly put into place. In fact, the commencement of it was put into place about 2 hours after the crash itself, and Aer Lingus were in an awful state as to how they would handle this. At that time, they were the world's safest airline, having been declared so 14 months previously on the 10th of November 1950. So it was a monstrous embarrassment to them, but there was more to it than the embarrassing side of it and the damage to the reputation. There was also the side of litigation, and litigation, which I have categorically proven, is what mandated that there will be a monster cover-up. Now I'm going to do a succession of videos, and I'm going to expose everybody, and I'm going to name everybody who constituted this cover-up. Indeed, I'm going to name the people of today who have continued to cover it up, and not so much people of today, the organisations of today, who've continued to cover it up and who've willfully and malevolently blocked me from telling my story. All is set to be revealed, because the truth is by speaking the truth in the crazy upside down world we're living in, where everything was right 30 years ago is now wrong and everything that was wrong is right. By me speaking the truth, I'm getting absolutely nowhere with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to broadcast in succession 23 videos when I'm going to completely get all of the truth out there. Now you, the viewer, you are all I have. That's all I have, is to share it and get it out there. I have absolutely zero fear of any litigation on myself or my story. Indeed, my story is out there. It was privately launched 2 years ago in September 2023, and I've got zero from the powers that be, the people that fear litigation. None of them will tackle me. None of them will try and assuage me. None of them will, or dissuade me. None of them will even engage with me. Not even as much as a solicitor's legal letter. Or a letter of desist. Zero, nothing from any of them. And these are government bodies on both sides of the Irish Sea, and they're also bodies connected into the whole aviation industry. But as I say, I'm getting absolutely nowhere. Now, the reason I'm making this video here today is because there is, shall we say, an underground bubbling under chatter that's taking place, and the story could break any time now, where it could be in a position to be forced to break. And the last thing I want to do is my story to be broken, me to be left on the backwash, where some bandwagon jumper just gets it out there. Therefore, I am hereby today, as of October 22nd, 25, not only claiming the copyright, which I have copyrighted on all of my 3 books, but I am also claiming the moral high ground and the moral authoritative copyright to my story, that I and I alone broke this story, or got it researched and found out this massive cover-up with virtually no help from anybody. Now, I did have huge help financially from people and in assistance in other ways, but everywhere I went in terms of uncovering the truth, I was blocked. And only for people in North Wales who knew the true story, and only for a certain set of documents from a few different locations I was given, I would never be able to not only tell the story, but to publicly publish it, which, as I say, I have already done. And I have shown 236 pages in the latest volume, the final volume that I will be done, volume 3. I have categorically shown that the entire investigative process and the inquiry, the British government's public inquiry, were nothing more than a sham. And I will go into detail on this. And as I say, in the next video, I'm going to start naming people and calling people out, including people of today, as in 2025. Okay. Stay with me, everybody, if you have any interest in my story, or if you have no interest in aviation or my story, or indeed me. So what? If you have an interest in the truth, share my story. Stay with me. That's all I want. I need views. I need to get it out there till the truth is finally uncovered and given to the public. The Irish nation, and indeed the British nation to a lesser extent, they deserve the truth as to what happened to their loved ones on that horrific, stormy, wintry night, January 10th, 1952, and more so, why the airline was flying a route that was well known by the pilots, that if the worst of the worst, if all of the circumstances came together, a plane could be lost. And as we know, that plane was lost, and that plane was the St. Kevin, which was lost at 7:15 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th of January 1952. And over the coming weeks, all of the truth is going to be told here on social media, which seems to be the only platform of honesty that we have left. I don't know what has happened to our mainstream media, and I think that applies to an awful lot of the people, especially the younger people. What? If you're from the mainstream media and you're watching this video right now and you claim to be an impartial investigative journalist, what has happened to you? What has happened to your minds and to your occupation, to what to what you took up as what shall we say, a vocation in your life? Why will nobody report my story? Well, it's going to be reported, and it's going to be reported in rapid succession in the coming weeks. This side of Christmas, I will have revealed everything. And anybody out there who's got a problem with anything I'm going to say, I give you 2 words: sue me. My documents are all in order. They've been looked at by several different people, and I am open to go up against any person, anybody. And by anybody, I mean private or government. So let me start again. Any person, anybody, any place, anytime, anywhere. I can go up against you in public or in private. We can do it on camera, in camera, or off camera. I can meet you on a one-to-one basis or a one-to-multiple basis. How about a one-to-infinity basis? You're not going to stop the truth coming out. It's coming out. And as I say, I am making this video because bubbling underneath, there is a little bit of a subtle background chatter that the story could be about to break. Not at a commercial level or anything like that. I was never in this for fame or fortune, by the way. This is a story that has stole my mind, my heart, my brain, my heart, my every single cell of my body. The story could be about to break in a very, very symbolic but very, very important way. Okay? Bear with me, everybody. Up St. Kevin. Cheers.